So here's something that'll mess with you. When you were 7 years old, a single summer lasted approximately forever. Like June alone was a geological epic. You had time to get bored, invent a game, get bored of that game, befriend a weird kid at the pool, develop a whole rivalry with that kid, reconcile, and still have enough summer left to do absolutely nothing for what felt like a month. Now you're an adult, and somehow it's September again, and you genuinely cannot account for where August went. It just left. No note, no forwarding address. August ghosted you. And the thing is, this isn't just a feeling. It's not nostalgia goggles or some poetic thing people say at dinner parties. Your brain is genuinely processing time differently now than it did when you were a kid. And the reason why is one of the most unsettling things I've ever learned about being a person. Okay, so here's the main theory, and it's called the proportional theory. When you're 5 years old, 1 year is 20% of your entire existence. That's a massive chunk. That's like a fifth of everything you've ever known. When you're 50, 1 year is 2%. It's a rounding error. It's the change you leave in your cup holder and forget about. Your brain is constantly measuring new time against all the time that came before it. And as that denominator gets bigger, each new unit of time feels proportionally smaller. A mathematician actually worked this out, guy named Paul Janet, back in the 1800s. And the formula basically says that your subjective experience of time is logarithmic, not linear. Which, if you don't speak math, means time doesn't just feel a little faster each year. It accelerates, like a car rolling downhill with the parking brake off. By this math, your perceived middle of life isn't age 40 or 50, it's somewhere around age 20. Half of your experience time, the way it actually feels to live it, is basically done by the time you can legally rent a car, which is honestly the most disrespectful piece of information I've ever encountered. But here's where it gets actually interesting, because the proportional theory is only part of it. The bigger culprit might be something way more fixable. It's called the novelty theory, and it goes like this. Your brain doesn't record every second of your life like a security camera. It's more like a highlights reel editor with a caffeine problem. When something is new place, new experience, new person, new sensation, your brain perks up, starts paying attention, lays down dense, rich memories, lots of detail, lots of timestamps. And when you look back on a period full of novel experiences, your brain goes, wow, look at all this footage, that must have been a long time. But when you're doing the same commute, same routine, same Tuesday that's indistinguishable from the last 47 Tuesdays, your brain basically hits skip. It doesn't bother recording much, because nothing's worth flagging. So when you look back on those 6 months of autopilot living, there's almost nothing in the memory bank. And your brain interprets that emptiness as brevity. Not much happened, so it must not have been very long. Your brain is literally editing out your own life, and then gaslighting you about how long it was. This is why a 2-week vacation to a country you've never visited feels longer in memory than 3 months of regular life. It's not the time that changed, it's the density of the experience. Your brain had more to chew on, so retrospectively, it stretches the tape. And some researcher, I love this, actually tested this by having people estimate how long ago certain events happened. Events that were emotionally charged or novel consistently felt more recent, even if they were years ago, because the memories were so vivid that the brain couldn't believe they'd faded that far into the past. Meanwhile, the bland stuff collapsed into nothing. 6 months of routine can feel like it happened in a long weekend. Your brain has the organizational skills of someone who shoves everything into one drawer and then acts surprised when they can't find anything. Okay, but here's the part that actually matters. If the novelty theory is right, and there's a pile of evidence that it is, then time speeding up isn't inevitable. It's a side effect of living on autopilot, which means you can fight it. And no, I'm not about to tell you to live every day like it's your last, because that advice is useless. And also, if I actually did that, I'd be eating cake for breakfast and making a lot of questionable phone calls. What I mean is way more specific than that. First thing, break your patterns in small, dumb ways. Take a different route to work. Eat lunch somewhere you've never been. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. I know that sounds stupid, and it kind of is, but your brain doesn't care about the magnitude of the novelty. It just cares that something is different. Any deviation from the script forces your brain to wake up, start recording, and actually process what's happening instead of sleepwalking through it. You're basically poking your brain with a stick and going, hey, pay attention. This is your life happening right now. Second thing, and this one's counterintuitive, slow down and monotask. When you're multitasking, scrolling your phone while eating while half watching something, your brain isn't fully encoding any of it. It's like trying to record 3 shows on a VCR with 1 tape. You end up with garbage from all 3 and a complete copy of nothing. When you do one thing and actually attend to it, the memory gets recorded in full resolution, and fuller memories make time feel longer in retrospect. Single tasking is basically an anti-aging trick for your perception of time, which is a sentence I never expected to say out loud. Third, and this one's a big deal, learn something new. Not in a sign up for a masterclass and forget about it way. Actually struggle with something unfamiliar. Pick up an instrument. Try a language. Attempt to cook something that requires more than a microwave. When you're a beginner at something, time absolutely crawls, because your brain is working overtime to process all this unfamiliar information. Remember how long your first week at a new job felt? Felt like a month, right? That's because everything was novel, and your brain was recording at maximum bit rate. You can manufacture that sensation on purpose. There's also a temperature theory, by the way, which I just think is funny. Some researchers found that your brain has an internal clock that's influenced by body temperature. When your temperature goes up, your internal clock ticks faster, so external time feels slower. When it drops, the opposite, which might partially explain why summers felt so long as a kid. You were outside, overheated, running around like a feral animal, and your little internal metronome was just cranking. Meanwhile, now you're in an air-conditioned office, and your brain clock is basically hibernating. I'm not saying crank your thermostat to 80 and see if March feels longer, but I'm also not saying that. Speaking of your brain betraying you, there's one more piece of this. Emotional states warp time perception in real time, not just in memory. Fear and anxiety make the present moment feel longer, which is why a car accident feels like slow motion and a dentist appointment lasts approximately 6 business days. But happiness and flow states make the present feel shorter while making the memory feel longer. So the cruel joke is that the best moments of your life fly by while you're in them and then expand when you look back, while the worst moments drag on forever in the moment and then mercifully compress later. Your brain has the comedic timing of a screenwriter who genuinely hates the main character. So the cheat code, if there is one, isn't about cramming more into your schedule. It's the opposite. It's about making what you already do register. Wake up your brain. Interrupt the routine. Force yourself into situations where you don't know what happens next, even in tiny ways. Because the years aren't actually getting shorter, you're just recording less of them. And every time you break the pattern, even for a second, you're buying back time that your autopilot brain was perfectly happy to throw away. Anyway, the wildest part of all this to me is that Paul Janet figured out the logarithmic thing in 1897, which means for over 100 years, we've had a mathematical proof that life feels like it's accelerating, and the best we've collectively done with that information is shrug and say, yeah, time flies. 127 years of knowing the answer and still losing August every single year.